Hello everybody, and how are we doing today? I'm Wardy and I am casting the Shopify TSL 9 Grand Finals that happened this past weekend. I just got back home from the Netherlands yesterday. I was casting the event myself in person, but didn't do the Grand Finals, but that means we get to do it for the YouTube channel. So hello everyone, this is an amazing Grand Finals, one we always love to see, especially offline, as in the top left corner, our purple Terran player is Maru. And in the bottom right, the yellow Zerg is going to be Serral. Now, Serral starts this best of 7 up 1-0. That is his advantage from coming through the winner's bracket of the tournament. While Maru was in the lower bracket, he lost to Showtime in the earlier portions of the tournament online in best of 3. It was 2-1 scoreline. Since then, Maru dropped to the lower bracket, and obviously he won out all the way here. And as far as it goes, I obviously followed TSL pretty well. Generally, not going to do too many casts of this replay pack, guys, because, well, I've seen a lot of the games, but the finals, I thought, Maru Serral, always fun to watch. I tried not to watch it too in-depth in person, and so we can have some fun and see how the games go and give my opinions on them. So, yeah, sit back, enjoy, relax. Some of the best StarCraft 2 we can potentially see, because Serral's playing great lately as well. I mean, when he plays players like Clem and stuff, he really has been looking very good, and that's a matchup that he's not been super confident in as of late, right? That is a matchup which he has lost a fair amount in the past. And then Maru, obviously his run to get to the fact that he's in this Grand Finals, he had some amazing games. He was really looking on point. He really did just look very, very good. So, honestly, I feel like this might be one of the best Maru Serral finals we've had, or Maru Serral matches we've had. Finals, obviously, I feel like they're both in good shape. It's offline. To me, the dream finals, really, because everyone loves a Maru Serral, right? So, yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see what goes down. The early opening has already got a couple of things to talk about here. I guess just before I very quickly go into it, I do want to say if you watch this on the YouTube channel and you do enjoy, do consider liking, subscribing. YouTube's seen a little uptick in love lately and interactions, and it's making the world a difference. So if you do enjoy, do click the buttons. It goes a long way. So let's talk about it. So as a Marine first, that means the factory comes down a little bit sooner because you're saving 50 gas that doesn't go into the Reaper. And that does mean that anything that Maru does aggressively can hit that little bit faster. So that's immediately going to be a benefit here. As our one Zergling of Serral heads out across through the center of the map to the upper left-hand side. He just went pretty standard hatch gas pool. Going to get this link speed going now. It's going to be one of the later link speeds you will see. This finishes at about 4 minutes. So, yeah, a little bit of a later link speed, a little bit greedy, but shouldn't be too much of an issue. We'll see. Has actually Maru going for Marines and Hellions, but the Marines are on the reactor. So, actually continuing with this, he's not going to continue with Hellion production. He's just going to go one Hellion, get a little bit of map control, and then a Widow Mine. And we have seen a lot of these kind of Widow Mine Marine combo drops as of late. There was a couple of games where Maru, during TSL, even got a crazy amount of damage done with the Widow Mine shot and stuff. So, this definitely seems to be almost a preference for Maru at the moment over just basic Hellion openers. And of course, we're going to see some basic Hellion openers throughout the course of this best of 7. But yeah, I don't mind this straight away. And wow, Serral's actually going to drop the Roach Roaring immediately. Okay. I mean, his scouting hasn't really revealed much, I suppose. He does know the reactor is still in the barracks. Just interesting because I don't expect Serral to kind of come into this and say, oh yeah, I'm just going to build like, roaches all game long. This does feel more like a defensive set of roaches initially to deal with this initial drop or so. Maybe create a bit of a counterattack in it as well, though I'm not sure how much I like the counterattack because you've built a lot of Marines, but then again, because this build goes into Hellions after, and Maru during this event has built a lot of Ravens as well, by the way. That is a possibility here, and he does line it up. Yeah, because of that, maybe the Roach is actually really good, because if they just push back this first drop, and then you're building Hellion Raven, what actually does defend the Roaches? Well, actually not a lot. So I think this is actually very smart from Serral, and it's probably based more than anything else just on how this event has been going and what Maru's been doing in this event. He does grab himself 3 drones with that Widow Mine. So Widow Mine does go off, and there's a nice little grab as these Marines escape out down through the bottom right-hand corner. And away they go. I do not know, guys, by the way, why there's no workers killed on the side of the screen. I find it incredulous to believe that they didn't host with the work without the mod. I hope that's not a bug. That just means it doesn't work on this UI or something, because that would be really sad. Yeah, I mean, hopefully we do get that during the rest of the game. I didn't actually notice that until now. it just seems like Workers lost, Workers killed though, because we have the other game hard features, so that's kind of weird. Anyways, Ravages pushing forward. We do see a depot going down, and other depots taking damage as well, as they will all fall. So this is the counterattack I'm talking about, where you've built this Raven and Hellions that aren't necessarily as good against this, and at the very least, Serral's going to get some pretty serious initial damage done. Auto turrets does a little bit, not too much. We are going to lose depots at the front as well, and I don't know if Serral wants to try and flood through here and fight, but he is going to give it a go. Corrosive Bar to help zone backward. He's going to cancel Stimpack, and oh, Maru is in a world of trouble. This build from Serral is just very good preparation, it feels like. Just feels like he says, yeah, if you do this, it's very difficult for you to hold this attack timing without taking serious damage. And we've already done serious damage by canceling Stim. We'll see how many SCVs end up going down. It obviously could just be pretty game-ending here. And as you see, well, quite a few of them going down. Sorry, I forgot. It's not showing up on the side of the screen. 26 workers have gone down so far. So, yeah, you would imagine that this is going to be a pretty big deal, as this auto turret is going to be there to help clean out. And Maru is down to 9 workers. Not really much army supply to show for it either. These last few lings unlikely to do much, I would say, but I mean, like I say, the damage is already done. They're actually going to get the tank. No, Medevac saves the siege tank. Okay, well, that's nice at least, obviously, as lings are still coming through. The depot can't build, and now SCVs have to repair the tank, but the lings could just go after some SCVs. We'll get a couple more. We're now talking about 40 worker kills here in this game. And as a couple lings continue through, the mules just doing as much damage as possible. This Banshee about to pop out from Maru as well. And you get that going to the front. And, well, at least he's got 2 Banshees, right? That's going to save the day, surely. Yeah, probably not. Yeah, unfortunately for Maru, this first game seemingly is going to be done. And of course, that's a good one for Serral to win, because Serral starts 1-0 up. It's best of 7. That's going to mean it's already a 2-0 lead in this series. And like I say, just extremely good preparation as well. This really, really felt just as though Serral knew exactly what Maru wanted to do. Like I say, throughout the tournament, he'd been building a lot of Ravens instead of like Banshees off a Tech Lab starport. And if Serral just said, yeah, if you're going to end up building Hellion Raven, there's just not the DPS there to really comfortably defend attacks like this one. So, yeah, absolutely made the most of that. And here you are, Serral in prime position for... And again, our first game played, obviously, again, it's the first game, but we start at 1-0, we always have this discussion. What does that actually mean? What's the best way to say it? Yeah, usually we just interchange it a whole bunch, as we do see that Banshee is going to go down, so 1 Banshee falls. This Banshee actually has 30 kills, my goodness. Obviously killed a lot of lings on the other side of the map, but this is an unholdable attack. Maru has not really got anything to defend this. He's got a siege tank on the high ground, in fairness. A couple Ravagers can probably just zap that straight away with some Biles. The Banshee did find this. The Ravagers, well, unfortunately the tank was not really high enough HP to survive 2 Ravager shots. In case this one got taken down. It doesn't matter. Maru unsieges the tank so it can move away from Biles, and then he doesn't have any splash damage, so that is going to be game number 1. And Serral will overwhelm and swarm to win out this first game. Yeah, I'm going to just take a moment here, guys. Obviously, we'll come back for you guys. It's not going to be a moment at all, but I'm going to figure out why the worker kills aren't showing up, because it's literally just the worker kills that aren't showing up on the side of the screen. Maybe something to do with the mod they were using and the fact this is a replay. I'll see if we can fix it. Otherwise, that might just be a sad reality. We don't get that fixed for the rest of these games. But otherwise, let's look ahead into the next map in just a moment. Welcome to game number 2, guys. Going to swap up the UI a little bit. For whatever reason, my usual UI does not work with the workers killed. And obviously, I like to see workers killed. So we will... I think it's just the mod they have probably didn't create... It was like a special mod for the tournament, and because of that, they probably just don't have it updated for like everything. It's just weird because obviously the upgrades were working and stuff, so yeah. We'll just dive in with a different UI. It doesn't really make much of a difference. Some people probably prefer this one. I personally don't really like it all that much. All good. Let's do some intros, because we've got a proxy on the way. As in the bottom right-hand corner, our purple Terran player down by 2, and now having to play on Serral's map pick. This is Maru. Up left, of course, is Serral, our yellow Zerg, as we do have the double barracks getting going on the left-hand side of the map. So, we get double rack starting up. So here's kind of something to mention as well, right, just as this proxy racks play gets started. Serral's map pick, but because Serral started 1-0, the way this tournament makes it work is that Serral also got a 1-map veto. So, not only does Serral get a map win, but that map win can essentially be thought of as on Maru's best map, or on the map that Serral least wants to play. So it's actually quite a sizable advantage, because then you're kind of playing like, well, yeah, you don't have to play one of the Terran, Terran heavy maps. On top of that, then Serral wins Maru's first map pick. And obviously, you got to think that this is looking to be a very, very good series for Serral right now. And maybe in part why we're seeing something of a proxy Rax from Maru. So we'll see if Maru can scrape himself back into this. The Overlord scouting to the left doesn't really see too much. A couple of SCVs are out the front here. The Marines are going to be starting to pop out. And yeah, Serral not being able to see this, doesn't have any immediate preparation. Now he sees double SCV. Now it's reaction time. Obviously, we will start to get our first bunker up. We're going to actually start hitting this Overlord, which will go to this pillar. Pretty sure that will reach the pillar pretty safely. Big drone pull because you've got to stop the bunker from going up. Bunker going up is generally very bad for you. Here we do not get that first drone. Good pull back from Serral. Extra Marines now here, and we start to rebuild the bunker. But of course, it's that extra little bit of time you've bought as Serral that helps you out in this situation. There's a lot of drones not mining right now. Lings are about to pop, and I assume we're going to make a play on this. But honestly, they probably could have picked up a couple rounds of minerals before he committed, right? Maybe something we could argue as a bit of a mistake, as the drones do look and find at least one Marine, 2 Marines. I was going to say 1 Marine in the surround, but just get a couple now. Our drone count is going down, however. I would say that this has turned into a mighty fine play from Maru, because Maru has killed 6 workers. He's denied the bunker. Can we actually get the bunker up with this SCV? That would have been actually kind of annoying. But 6 drones go down, and all of those drones were pulled this entire time. Oh no, I don't know how to make graphs work on this UI. Okay, it's this button. Okay, guys, you have to bear with me, because I'm afraid that pressing these buttons are not just going to bring the graphs up, but also the they use the numpad keys, right? And I use the numpad keys to change my XSplit hotkeys, or my XSplit overlays. So if we randomly change overlay at some point, I apologize in advance. You can just see the income advantage. That's what I wanted to get to. Maru mines so much more because of that drone pull throughout this game early, and that's cool. We do actually have this cool UI as well, or this new graph. The resources lost difference over time, so you can see over time here, Serral has already got a disadvantage in resources lost. There is one more. I think it's resources gathered. However, I'm pretty sure if I press that one, it's going to take me into a different screen. So I will avoid it for the moment. But yeah, some of these new graphs are pretty cool. Excited to be able to use them more in the cast, because they obviously do just help you to tell a bit of a better story throughout the course of a game. As a couple of Lings went counter-attacking. Let's get back on track here. There's a couple of Lings counter-attacking, but not really finding much. Depot burning, but otherwise defended. We're actually going into medevac and some Hellions. I mean, obviously the Hellion drop is usually quite potent in these scenarios, because as the Zerg player, you've defended against a 2-Rex, you haven't had time to get into speed. So the Hellions can play against speedless Lings, which is obviously pretty powerful. They can just kite those forever, and that generally gives you good options, or good chances at least, to see a mineral line, to roast some workers, and go from there as Serral sets up his Roach Roaring, and we'll get that one underway. TSL 9, one of the tournaments that Serral has never won. In fact, it's one of the tournaments that has continued to be dominated by Koreans, even during the online era of COVID and so on. If you remember the last few TSLs, Serral's been in some of those finals, but he's lost out to Dark, he's lost out to Rogue, in some pretty disappointing series as well. We'll see if Maru can keep the streak of Korean dominance going. Would have to be a win in this game, I think, to start making it happen, though. You don't want to be seeing Serral setting up 3-0 in the lead. That seems a little bit out of reach, as we do see our first Hellion miss dropping slightly, but into the mineral line we go. Now, Ling Speed did finish. How many Lings do we have? 10? They were on the low ground, so we get 2 drones immediately. Good little, attempted block will force you around the other way. Yes, oh no, that's bad micro from Maru. Has to be said. I mean, he just loses 2 Hellions that could have been lifted by the medevac, and then if you continue this sort of stuff, that's really powerful. 6 workers still go down. Just felt like this could have been so much more still. Just an unnecessary loss or 2. Out of Maru there as Serral. He is kind of hurting on workers. He's just going to go Roaches. I mean, obviously, we saw the Roach run coming down. I say go Roaches is obvious, but he's going to really commit with the Roaches and try and deal some damage. Maru's preparations, well, 2 bunkers on the way up. He does have Stim Star. That's not really going to finish anytime soon. The Banshee is on the way out as well. That'll be popping soon enough, and I think there's going to be a defense, quite frankly. The time it takes you to get through the first, then the second bunker, then the Banshee's going to be here wailing away on the Ravagers. Yeah, it's likely that Serral does some damage. I imagine we lose some amount of SCVs, but enough to make up what is a 13 worker difference. While he's still right now making Lings, he's not committing back into, macro play just yet. He's not droning up or anything, as This bunker's not going to die either, right? So now we actually get to target down these Ravagers, and yeah, that's looking pretty good. However, the Lings might cause some issues. The Lings going to get a wraparound on the Siege Tank, and well, pretty much all the rest. We do save what we can, bring it back down to the low ground. Feels like these Ravagers are dealt with. Get into the main, defend these Lings, Maru, and then we should be good to go. 13 SCVs going down. The Hellions coming across, fighting against these Zerglings still. Marines stimming up as that has completed. Well, 13 SCVs. Pretty serious, and obviously Maru pulling workers during this. It does put Serral back into the game a little bit. So Serral sits at 38, 39 workers to 33. You can see the income graph advantage going his way. Resources lost is expensive from Serral, and that's one of the issues, that it has been kind of a Maru favored economy up until now, and he's not traded well. So it's a bit of a problem. We see this Raven again. I talked about this during the TSL and other matchups, but the Raven's fascinating because this really is it's just such a stylistic thing from Maru. We've seen Raven builds, but usually it's one you sneak into, like a best of 5. Maru is consistently building these Ravens, and yeah, a lot of people will be like, I told you, you should have just built a Raven all this time, clear out the creep. The usual reason we don't see a Raven is it's just very difficult to keep alive, because it moves faster than everything else, so it either needs a separate hotkey or to be like super hardcore babysat, because you don't want it to fly into queens, because it will die in an instant. And it does provide a lot of creep clearance. I'm kind of surprised to see it in this scenario because there's no Hellions. So it's not like he can team up with the Hellions and just go and clean creep, and it looks as though he's just going to go and auto turret harass. There was a while where auto turret harass off of like a couple of Ravens was pretty much a meta opening in TvZ as well. But it's been a long time since that happened, as this Banshee gets pushed away. We'll see if Maru can continue to get some damage done with that Raven, and like I say, at some point might be able to use it for creep clearing. It really feels like this one was built to just get rid of some drones. And that is interesting. It's quite the investment. Let's see how it does. First auto turret down. We kill one drone. We're going to get probably 2 here. And then Serral's pulled away. Yeah, 2 drones. Drone pull. Yeah, I mean, Raven, obviously, if you're comfortable and it's staying alive, maybe it's the maps as well, right? Maybe he feels like a lot of these maps are just good, you know, safe positions to keep a Raven alive on. Feels like Serral's not going to play mutas, and if that's the case, then this Raven can just stay alive all game. And at some point, if you want to bring it back to the main army and provide utility with it, yeah, it can drop an anti-armor missile, right? You never know. There was at some point in the tournament as well. I believe it was, I want to say like Maru Lampo. There was some point where he actually used the Raven to interference Matrix Vipers too. So yeah, like I said, the Raven, a big topic of discussion, I suppose, for Maru during this tournament. I just want to give you guys the context on that. Did you see the auto turret again, just forcing a minor drone pull? Few Lings going down. So, I mean, Raven continues to find decent damage. Again, you look at the resources lost, and it just goes up and up. More and more lost for Serral here throughout the course of this game. We do have our 1-1 upgrades. Going to be finishing pretty much in sync as well. So, Maru probably going to be able to do a lot with his initial Marine push here. Baneling speed not quite done. I imagine we have balance speed before large fight, as Maru has not yet moved out, where I want to say like 15, maybe about 20 seconds away from that. That's one of the things I don't like about this UI. You can't mouse over like an upgrade and see how long it's got left to build, so that's one of my minor disagreements with how this UI is made. We do actually have a new UI that's coming out soon, guys. I think it'll be good, but now's not the time to talk about that, because Serral's counterattacking and Maru is pushing. Counterattack comes in, Ling Bane straight into the natural expansion, wrapping around a Marine straight away, and these SCVs will straight up be in trouble. The entire natural is going to get wiped. The question is, does Serral have anywhere near enough to deal with Maru's attack, especially with so much across the map in a counter right now? 22 SCVs dead, so many tanks sieged up here, the Baneling count minimal, and, well, the tanks just aren't dying. The Banelings die, and this means the Marines can now focus on the Lings, and we're going to, kill one single siege tank during this entire burst? Well, don't get me wrong, 28 SCVs going down across the map is painful, but now all of the Banelings have pretty much been used, and Maru sits here chipping away at this third base of Serral, looking to take this one down and just knock this out of the equation, and that would be, well, Serral in, quite frankly, a lot of trouble. We knock down one Baneling, we're going to look for a couple of others here. They're going to go for us, but they're just not going to reach the Marines. Serral's going to type GG. You can see in the army supply, he's just not got what he needs. This army is going to live, stem forward, and Serral has 19 Lings on the map and 6 in production. There's no way he can survive this. He started up 2-2 as well, something which if he got to would have been fantastic, but in this scenario, obviously it's 2-2 upgrades that are just very expensive that never really came to fruition. And this was Maru as well. Just want to talk about the setup a bit. He's on 7 racks. So he's pretty committed here as well. off of what was as well just the single engineering bay. No, he does have double engineering bay. Where's that other engineering bay? I feel so blind. Why doesn't this UI let me click on things, man? Oh, it's right there in the front. It's blocked by the structures tab. So yeah, I mean, he basically just says 7 racks and go. Usually you go 8 racks, but maybe just the way this game opens, he says, yeah, a little bit less on the barracks count, and we go from there. Or maybe he lost a barracks off this tech lab or something. Either way, just aggression wanted to hit hard and strong, and he absolutely managed to do that. So Maru finds himself a game victory in this finals, and we are going to be having ourselves more games coming up in a few moments as we continue this best of 7. Now, this really feels like a perhaps turning point of the series, as in the bottom left, Serral up 2-1, but loses his first map pick of the series on Cosmic Sapphire with the 2-rack start, and then, well, just the big old push after got him to tap out and give his opponent a map. So on the scoreboard for the first time is Maru in the top right from Onside Gaming, our purple Terran. Purple and yellow because those are the colors of TSL. If you didn't watch it, TSL was amazingly themed, and the offline finals in the TSL, in the Team Liquid headquarters, sorry, in Utrecht, the Netherlands. The players were there. What an amazing place, and they decorated it beautifully as well with all sorts to make it a, yeah, really just give the tournament a good theme and stuff. So I can only say, guys, obviously I'm casting this one for my own benefits on YouTube, but if you didn't watch TSL, catch some VODs of the event, watch the in-between segments, because the entire show was just fantastic, and yeah, really, probably I would say actually the best StarCraft 2 tournament we've had. Definitely production-wise and like quality-wise, viewing experience-wise, and probably since Katowice, right? Like, I think it's blown the others out of the water. So yeah, check it out. Obviously, it was a great event, and let's see what happens as we get to continue watching this best of 7. I mean, this, like I say, it feels like a turning point because not only does Serral lose on his first map pick, but now we get to go on Waterfall, which is another great map pick for Maru. Yeah, he didn't make it work on Moondance, but Waterfall, it's small. You can split map easily as well, and you know Terrans love to do that as well. Split map, sit back, relax, chill, and just have a good old day. Let Serral run into you with a ton of units, trade them up, get that resources lost in your favor, slowly take the bases, which isn't difficult to do. And then this map can just be very hard to play from the Zerg. So, yeah, we'll see if anything happens early. But if not, definitely expect a game that can be drawn out pretty heavily. Like I say, it's weird because the map is so short and small, you don't expect to see late game on it. But in the same way, there's so few options you have to make moves or to kind of break positions, and different ways you can. There's so few different ways you can go as well that, yeah, and the bases are so easy to take because they're so compact that actually, yeah, late game and split map scenarios happen a lot more on Waterfall than what you would typically expect to have happen. Hatchery goes down on the front, and we're just going to be seeing the single Zergling of Serral heading across to the top right corner. Starport is on the way from Maru. It's going to be seeing him, obviously, does open with that CC as well, so factory into the starport pretty quickly as well. So yeah, definitely a bit of an interesting build for Maru just in general here as the CC now finishes up. And yeah, Marines, Hellion, starport on the way so we can get the medevac out. It's kind of just what we saw back in game 1, right? A little bit of Marine Widowmine drop. Hey, I'm a little bit afraid about it because this map is obviously, with the size, fantastic for roaches. So if you can just get roaches across, and that's exactly what Serral did last time. He said, oh, what are you doing? Oh, that? Let me just build roaches. In my eyes, Maru must have something of a plan here to deal with roaches, or to adjust the builds to be able to deal with that. That, or the other possibility I kind of maybe have in my mind is that maybe Maru also says, I don't believe you'll go roaches again. If I can deny your scouts, there's no reason for you to go them, because it's now 2 games in a row you've played roaches, Serral, and I don't think you want to be playing roaches in general for the later stages of this game too, so typically might kind of just sort of steer away from that. I guess we will see as we do start to build a whole chunk of tech labs. It's fun. Apparently we've got 3 tech labs built now once. I only see 2. There is all sorts of funky UI things going on. Like I say, there was a special mod they used specifically for this event with some of the updated graphs and stuff. And because I only have access to the old UIs, I guess it doesn't function perfectly with them. So very minor things, just yeah. Couple odd ones, so if you do see a couple UI bugs or whatever, yeah, That's pretty much the reason, as we are going to see the Hellions on the right side, the Marine drop into the main. This is always powerful because the Widow Mine, of course, can pretty much guarantee get a shot off, because it will always drop into a choke point. So yeah, then you have to give up a unit. I mean, maybe you could have Spore Crawler trick there, but Serral not quite able to make that happen. Here's the Overlord Scout, obviously seeing this all way too late to reactionarily build roaches like we saw in that earlier game on Moondance. And the Hellions didn't do much either, so I mean, good defense from Serral. He loses one drone to this, a minor drone pull. I think he'll be pretty okay. This Marine cannot reach to kill the Overlord, so that gets to live a little while longer. My friends, once again, I introduce to you the Raven. Like I say, it's just something that Maru continues to build. I do wonder how much of a shift we will see in the overall meta to building a Raven just repeatedly, because, you know, last time Maru did something kind of funky and new, Blue Flame Hellbat, suddenly that's the whole new go-to in the late game for TvZ. Is this Raven something we're going to be seeing a lot more of again? Are players going to stick to their more traditional styles of opening in this matchup? It is just kind of a whole new way of kind of getting to that kind of Hellion force, something that can clean out creep. You got some Marines so you can stand and fight a bit. Going to be seeing this Widowmine here. It's going to connect, and a lot of these Lings will go down as they lose the Widowmine, but honestly, it feels like this is not so bad. Ah, we lose the Medevac. Oh, the Medevac was very savable, no? Really felt as though that should have been able to get away as Hellion Marine Force pushes down the south side. We get rid of a Creep Tumor straight away. We're going to drop an Order Turret down. We're just going to get cancelled in this fourth phase. Yes, we are. Drone gets to rebuild, though. Doesn't die. Second cancel, however. Okay, well, Maru gets 2 cancels. That's 150 minerals just down the drain. Completely wasted. Like I say, nice to keep the drone alive, but I almost feel like getting a cancel a second time means that keeping the drone alive wasn't really that important. It's probably worse for you than just losing the drone. I don't know the exact math on that, but I guess, like, it's only like a 25 mineral difference. You've got to bring another drone across. Yeah, maybe a second cancel isn't that bad, but yeah, I don't know. Just feels bad for sure. Anyways, 1-1 on the way here from Maru. Combat shields coming up. We do just float across our third CC into position. It's going to be landing over here, and well, Marine tank is gathering on the front lines as these few Hellions come poking forward. The Queen's taking a few shots of damage. Going to start picking through some of this creep spread in the center of the map as well. Get rid of a couple of those creep tumors straight away. 2 more Medevacs will be coming in on the Medevacs, on the reactors. So getting that out, we do have these SCVs pulling to go after the Raven as well. That's going to get fully repaired up to high HP. Just going to be seeing still the creep tumors setting down at the front. Hellions will continue to gather up. A couple more creep tumors going down here. Marines, tanks. Going down to the bottom right-hand side. Going to grab a Zerglin already. Our Queen's still coming through, and these Hellions are going to look for some of this creep spread. Looking for 1, looking for 2 tumors. The thing about Waterfall is that this map gets covered in creep so quickly. So you've got to be quite careful because there is just so much creep that can be all over the place. You got to be really careful not to get kind of overrun. Little Baneling run by, going to find 7 SCVs. That should be the end of the Banes due to the tanks. As Maru's pushed down here. I mean, pretty well set. I mean, doesn't start 2-2 just yet. Does have an armory. Going to drop the Order Turrets to help him fight the Queens. Here we go, though. The Ling Bane from the other side is going to help to flank in, and we have to lift the Marines and evacuate the position. Serral is going to bust down the couple of tanks, and Maru immediately now says, okay, 2-2 upgrades, get those started. Let's get back home. And as long as Maru defends this, well, let's see. Serral actually has a ton of money. If he had the lava to spend, Serral might just be able to overwhelm right now. Serral also starts as 2-2 on the tail end of this, as tanks are going to blow up the Banelings. 1 Baneling connects, but not too much exciting. They actually have Banelings over here that do find damage. It was the Baneling over here that I saw going down and thought it was the end of it. I don't think that was too great here from Serral. If you look at resources lost, it was pretty, he took a step back in the right direction. And then this final fight, the one that he, had going across the map, was just rough for him. So, again, that resource loss graph really helped me to show the different stages of that fight. And, yeah, basically, again, just to emphasize, initial part of the fight, the surround really, dealing damage, and obviously a cleanup on tanks as Medevac's left away. And then overcommitting maybe across the map is not ideal. I was going to say, I feel like if Maru survived that attack, which now he has, it almost feels as though at this stage, that's the last attack we see from Maru. I talked about how you can split this map. To me, this is absolutely, at least for a while, going to be Maru building up. I just don't really imagine he's going to be, yeah, okay, dropping around the map. But I'd be kind of shocked to see him move for another kind of entire push when you're kind of building off these siege tanks and they've just been reset in numbers. And we know Maru is just very comfortable in that later stage of the game, so yeah, I'm kind of fully behind the idea that we likely just see Maru dropping here, dropping there, but the main plan is just to build up at home. He has 3 more racks in a second factory right now. His 4th base is going to be finishing shortly, and the next step from there typically is just going to be ghosts. So yeah, just again, that's where my imagination takes me for this game at the moment. Maru trails 1-2, playing here on Waterfall, looking to try and tie things up in this grand final of TSL. If you don't know TSL as well, big prize pool, 40k I believe in total, $14,000 for first place and $8,000 for second, so that's a pretty sizable difference for the two of them. Marines will drop into the bottom right, get a cancel on that hatchery. A few lings come through, and Marines will then boost away once more. Obviously, now we've got this group of medevacs over here that are just kind of sat in the corner chilling. Got these 2 medevacs being pushed back as well. If Serral could find a counterattack, that's not like almost 50 supply of Maru out on the map. And okay, when I say counterattack, I maybe imagine it with a little bit more than this, but then again, I guess you can't bring everything because you need these units to still defend against the medevacs, right? Viper's on the way. Those medevacs on the left side are likely going to be in a little bit of trouble, no? Parasite Bomb will kill at least this one. I'm pretty sure this one as well. So yeah, I think all the medevacs are going to be ending up dead over there, so you're going to have to start finding a way out. And yeah, that's going to be some good value for Serral for sure. Again, I love this resource loss graph. It's going to start dipping in Serral's favor a little. Maybe not in his favor, but it'll go back in Serral's favor just slightly. See the Vipers. Waiting. Oh, ducked. And ducked works as well. That's 2 of the 3. And want to take a look at that resource lost? Yeah. It's making a nice little comeback there. Yeah, those medevacs have just kind of been stuck. We do see the ghost on the way from Maru, by the way. Has not started 3-3. I imagine upgrades maybe next on his list when he gets a little bit of gas again. 2 extra command centers going down. And Serral just moving into adrenal glands. +3 carapace, range upgrades as well. Currently playing off Hydras, but not playing Lurkers just yet. We'll see at what point he maybe wants to introduce Lurkers. I mean, a Lurker den coming down just so you can have the upgrade, so you can make that switch if you want to, is nice. I say playing off the Hydras. It's not like he built Hydras yet. It's just pure Ling Bane still, with the Viper support. Drop in the bottom right. Serral is immediately on top of it. He's been so good at just making sure to be very cautious in these TvZs, not letting things get out of hand. Serral obviously missed Valencia as well. Came back, won Home Story Cup, and looking to try and get some more EBT points on the run, as we do see this attack coming forward. Tanks. Well, one of them hits by a blind cloud, and we're just going to be seeing the Ling Bane come straight through here. 5 SCVs going down. That plant is going to get busted as well. Okay. I mean, this is the typical situation you see in this matchup, as we do kill a base down in this corner, if I'm not mistaken. That is a hatchery kill. This is the typical thing that happens in this matchup, where the Zerg is going to throw themselves at the Terran, trade extremely inefficiently, and then rebuild and say, well, it's okay, because I just have more economy than you. But Serral actually only has 79 workers. To me, that's not more economy, especially against 78 SCVs. In my eyes, I think Serral really kind of wants to get up to like 85, I want to say even 90 workers. If you really want to do this, I get that he's taking all the bases, but taking these bases doesn't matter if you don't have workers to put on them. So yeah, and you can just see stuff like his gas kind of low. I mean, the Ridge Vespine guys will help a lot with that if he gets these forward bases up. And especially if he mines this one, which is kind of meant to be Maru's as this game progresses, then yeah, that's obviously not great for Maru. And it's kind of why it's nice to do this, because then you can force these units forward and get a little bit of value for yourself. In this case, he actually keeps the hatchery alive. And like I said, it just maybe forces Maru to make a move, because every second that currently passes by, our resources being taken away from this base. Serral instantly sends all the drones he will ever need here on this base as well, so gets this fully saturated and just says, yeah, I just mine it as much as possible, because again, this is going to be a base that Maru should fight back for and should overtake on at some stage. But until then, let's take some money off of it. Let's just make up for the resources lost that I'm losing out in. Great choice from Serral. Still got the Raven from the early game too. Interested to see what he can utilize or do with the Raven at this point, as this hatchery is not going to go down. I mean, Serral's entire army is here. Parasect Bomb going to force the split, and the medevac will get 2 SCVs to be repaired. I do believe that was necessary, otherwise it probably would have been going down there. It's a little call for Maru repairing the Parasect Bombed medevac. Smart. I was like, well, you can probably unload and it'll just pop. No, he's like, I'll save that unit too. Both players maxed out. Serral getting other tech on the way. Spire, pathogen glands +3. Burrow +2 missiles. Yeah, all the things are coming in on that production tab of Serral as he sets up. Not being too aggressive just yet. As oh, nice abduct. Can we kill anything off that? I mean, the Marauders drop. We'll abduct just to finish off a medevac again. Basically free damage, right? Yeah, I mean, to Serral really attack in, well, there's so many tanks, it kind of feels like no. So he's already setting up for kind of a later game setup, like I say. Some of those spellcasters, and just saying, yeah, I can't just run at you and trade and fight and win. Oh, that creep team just staying in place there in the top left is going to be annoying. This one that Maru will have to deal with in a moment is his base. Perhaps a little bit of trouble. More veins coming through. What's going on in the bottom corner? I was just wondering if there's anything actually happening down there. Serral's actually going to take a little bit of a charge forward. He's going to try and engage in initially here, so we'll see how the resources loss changes during this. And as Eileen Bane's going to just keep on chasing those ghosts backwards. Just so many lings as well. Resource lost at about a 6k difference. You can see a little dip there from Serral. Chases Maru back. Just wants to try and slow down the taking of this base whenever, as much as possible. Neural Parasite is on the way on the Infestation Pit, also getting that one up and online. Well, snipes will come through. Some Queens and Fortune trying to respread creep will be gifted to the Terran. At this point, I mean, yeah, I do like the Broodlords. It's a short map as well, a small map as well, not necessarily just short, but easy to get the Broodlords from one side to the other, which isn't true on all maps, so the Broodlords are generally the right call, but it's going to be even easier to play them on this as we actually move forward here again. Lings, Zabane swarming in. The Viper's not even close enough to really drop Blinding Clouds. It would have been great on, these two tanks here especially. Gets there in the end. SCVs are dropping, 13 of them as we push back from the top left base. And Serral rebuilds 156 Zerglings. That is over 70 lava he had stored up and ready to reproduce on. So, an instant remax from Serral. And again, I'm kind of impressed that this is just off 77 workers. I get that it's not a lot of base on this map. I just felt like 77 was not going to do it, right? I feel like, you get this base mine straight away. And, I mean, you just compare it to the Terran side of things. He's not even mining gas here right now. If you compare it to the Terran side of things, where the Terran player is, mining honestly not that much worse than you. Kind of very interesting. But let's see how this fight goes. We push forward again. Flying Cloud comes down, Ling Bane gets in on top of this, and Maru's army is going to run out of places to split as he has Ghosts being chased down by Baneless here. Banes actually should just go for the SCVs and the mineral line in general, I think. Maybe even the Planetary Fortress. As this gets busted down, Maru will have to bring probably this orbital up north to re-establish a fourth base location. This is going to be tough. I think this is getting to be a little bit too much, in fact, because look at the resource loss. It didn't change during this fight. That means Serral is traded efficiently in a game where he is mining a whole bunch more. Look at the income graph. Yeah, it hasn't been super crazy or out of reach until now, where Maru loses a good chunk of workers. And that's where I think a lot of these differences are now going to start really forming. Yeah, I mean, I know I talk a lot about resources lost and everything, guys, but that really is just something which, in this matchup specifically, is truly one of the most important things. So, you see the Lings, the Banes, the Hydras, and start pressing forward here. We actually do get rid of a siege tank straight away. This is not a bad start as continue to gather units up in the top left. Tanks, Marauders, and Liberators are still producing. If a Viper wants to come through, just going to be seeing the tank getting picked up. Going to abduct this other tank. Pushing forward. I mean, Blinding Clouds again going down. Keeping the tanks from fire, and it just feels like Serral is just going to bust through Maru, guys. It's not quite the epic defensive, draw you out, super late game Maru that you want to see, right? I mean, this is a Maru that is dying on Waterfall. Just not able to find good enough fights, or maybe the composition, or maybe even just the positioning. Serral just getting jump after jump on these armies, and, well, again, not able to instantly rebuild to max this time around because, again, maybe the drones could have been higher, but in a way, by not having the drones as high, he's had a lot more units at any point in time while maxed to maybe do it, and maybe that little army supply difference, you know, as a bit of a commitment as well. Again, I love this. Just take some money away from a base that could very well be Maru's further down the line. You're running over here. This base cannot mine. Maru is pretty much going to be on one push, I feel like. 37 workers doesn't leave you a lot of options. So here we go, one push to make this work. Nothing but Lingbane, Hydra, Viper out of our Zerg. Great EMP gets rid of the Viper energy for this fight at least. A couple Hydras getting caught up trying to take down the Livs as the Lingbane tests the water to see if it can be enough against the Ghost and all the rest. The tank's definitely doing a lot here, and the Banes decided to back away. Serral will just go for one more rebuild and try and bust yet again. But I mean, again, does he even need to? Because at this point, again, we know Maru is in trouble. And so Maru already just sending units forward here. Yeah, to me, that kind of tells the story we're expecting is the Banes keep coming through. They're not going to do too much, actually. That was maybe a little bit lackluster of a fight from Serral. Maybe could have done with waiting a bit. Even things like Infestus, right? That's just efficiency and spellcasting that Maru does not really have the resources to deal with right now. The Ghosts come forward. This hatchery is going to fall. I'm just going to be seeing Lingbane, Hydra Force, Vipers 2 still gathering on the bottom side. Marauder producing. Feelings just running by, completely mined out main and natural third base is pretty much gone as well. Maru's income is at this stage at an all-time low, I'd imagine. 83 minerals. And dropping because he's now mined out over here, so he's only got this long distance mine. 0 mineral income for a moment there. And yeah, resources lost. Not too bad. I mean, 11k, but having the Terran in this kind of position for an 11k resource loss difference is, as I say, super good at this point, guys. We are just waiting for a deciding, one final deciding fight. Serral's not quite, like I say, being able to fully max out himself, but he's still comfortably ahead on Neural Parasite on the siege tank. Doesn't do much. The scan is there pretty quickly as we go chasing the Ghost down, maybe, and EMP on the Ghost would have been nice. Get rid of the cloak. I'm not sure if that would have changed anything, really. We clean out the tanks again. We do get some snipes off, an Overseer or two being popped from the skies, and the Ghost, for once, from Maru looking to be a little bit better off. Might even deny a base. Maybe he can just camp out. I mean, that's the thing. Maybe if he denies a base and he can camp out one base, maybe he'll be okay, but what base is he going to camp out? He has nowhere. Man has no income right now. 0, realistically. Absolutely none. Like, it's dropping down 0. He's got a tiny bit of gas mining over here, but no mineral mining. I mean, a few mules drop, sure, but is that really going to be your save here? Is that really going to change everything? Probably not. Let's get a couple more wings. Tank siege is up. We've got a little infestor here, which is just going to neural EMP everything. So no energy on the Ghost. Don't think that makes a difference anyway. Maru types GG. Serral gonna go out in style in this game, number 4. Just gonna get the EMP. Just a little bit of flashiness to wrap up this map and put himself onto match and hence tournament point here. 3-1 lead for Serral in this grand final. Come back to this best of 7 in the top right corner, leading 3-1, 1 map away from being a TSL champion. Our yellow Zerg is Serral. Bottom left, our purple Terran player. Can he mount a comeback? Well, if anyone can, probably would be this guy. It is Maru in the bottom left. Might be a bit late in the series to be looking at stats and stuff, but I do feel like the history of Serral Maru is obviously a fun one. You know, you talk about, at one point, they were meant to meet. They were meant to be in the BlizzCon finals against each other in 2018. They were meant to fight for the World Championship, and Maru just didn't make it there. And WSG, Maru didn't make it there. Multiple times, Maru kind of let Serral down. They were meant to have this epic final, and it never really happened. And, for a long time, we were asking, we want Serral Maru, we want to see it. We only saw that best of 1 in GSL vs. the world, and this is obviously after Serral popped off. They did play a couple of times, I believe, at earlier points in time where before Serral had really kind of, like I say, popped off, I suppose, and become the absolute beast that he was. And same for Maru, right? So, but honestly, Serral's history against Maru is kind of insane. 2-1 in a King of Battles, 3-0 in a TSL way back when, a couple years ago at this point, 2-0 in a NetEase event, and Maru beat Serral in the Aces ROG tournament that he went on to lose against Beyond in the finals of, right? And then Serral's back. He wins 2-1 in the season finals, and then Maru wins the finals, and then they go 1-1 in World Team League versus the world. And then Serral's just like, yeah, you know what? Finally, we get to play offline. 3-1. And that was obviously in Katowice. And that was, set you up basically into another 3-1 in King of Battles. And just in general, Serral does have the better of Maru, but so many of those events are just online, and you can't really talk about them as crazy or as seriously maybe, because in those online events, there is ping. Maru just have to play late at night. I'm not making excuses, but there will always be a bit more of a question mark than the offline events. And again, those offline events, the history of offline Maru versus Serral is, is a 0-3. So that's a Maru win, a 1-0 for Serral, a GSL versus the world, then a 3-1, and that's about it. It's just crazy. This is like the 4th time they've ever played a match offline. So, yeah, that part of the history between them, definitely very cool. And again, just Serral favorites, so looking to be the same here. And yeah, Serral got that 1-0 lead. Yeah, he got the veto, but I really feel like letting Waterfall slip through is definitely a little bit nasty for Maru, because Waterfall is one I feel like he should have been able to control a bit. But now we got to go on Data C. Talk about this game specifically. It's a command center first into the 2 racks. We're actually going to go CC first into 2-1-1, it would look like, as the stim pack has already started. I'm missing the gas right now to start the factory, but shouldn't be too far off. But what a scout from Serral. This link just goes around the entirety of this main, sees absolutely everything. I'm going to start the 3rd CC and then the factory, so that's where we go with this. You have seen this build be pretty deadly. I know Spirit was using it a lot in a tournament we were casting the other day, the WardiTV Summer Championship and stuff. So yeah, we've been seeing this CC first 2-1-1 a lot. We've just been seeing a lot of CC first 2 base or 3 base all-ins a lot as well. Just strong economy into a strong game plan from there on out, as 3rd hatchery about to finish up. 2 queens will be pressing forward, and another queen on the way out as well. Just going to be seeing our stim's about halfway done. Our link speed's about to complete. Our drones still producing here as we get all of this up and online. 37-40 drones from Serral. And yeah, we're really waiting for the stim and basically medevacs until we can really do anything too exciting. I guess it wasn't that bad of a game to go into the history of Serral Maru on. Obviously, there's just so much to talk about when it comes to these two. And, yeah. Serral obviously just one of the, somehow has just had the better edge of things. Actually, it's kind of interesting, though, because it's actually, even though the matches are quite Serral favorite, the map score is pretty similar. It's not as bad. I believe it's 8-3 in matches for Serral over all time, and this is even kind of before Serral popped off. 8-3 for Serral, and then I believe it's 21-15 in maps, so only a 6 map difference or so. It's really not that crazy, considering it's a 6 series difference. It's pretty notable. Finland's coming through, Ling's on the way, a couple queens popping out. Obviously, big moment here for Maru to try and turn this series around right now. Has to start here on Data C. We'll probably get one of inside. I think he'll get inside and out for the next map, and then probably end this series on Tropical Sacrifice. So, a couple of the larger maps to go, absolutely. Inside and out a bit smaller, definitely one he could maybe be a bit more aggressive on. But yeah, has to start here on Data C if he wants to stay in this championship. 2 medevacs will come and support this group of Marines. There's a couple of creep teamers do finish up. The Marines started to edge towards creep there. Now going to move up to the northern side. Now single Zerglin coming down the left is going to check the 3rd base. I see not much there. And there's the 3 extra barracks, by the way, to power up to the 5 racks for the moment. So, getting to 5 racks. 50 SCVs still producing. No signs of Maru being super aggro. And now here's the combat shield. This timing's sick because, yeah, you don't hit as early straight away, but you have combat shields when you do attack. And that allows you to just be a little bit better at fighting. Here, Maru got a little bit too far forward trying to chase down the Banes and target fire them, so unfortunately has to lift up. Loses a couple Marines, still not a major kind of hemorrhage to his plan. He does get forced back, and I gotta say, while focus on the top side, the creep on the bottom and middle really starting to advance a little bit. Gonna start getting through really the center of the map very shortly, and that's gotta be a little bit terrifying, right? If you're Maru to have that much creep on the bottom. But yeah, he might focus his attacks up north. He might play that kind of plan, but At some point, you've got to clean out that rest of that group spread, otherwise you're just going to be in so much trouble. That one lane slips by the way, and is going to get up a ramp straight into a group of Marines and a siege tank. Obviously good info though. Tells you where the rest of the army is, potential reinforcements you could catch or flank with this group of lings. Now Maru puts a little bit of focus and attention into the middle of the map and actually gets a lot of group teamers for it. Gonna lift up, retreat, and that's actually gonna then combo with the rest of this push. So gonna really set up over here in Serral. He is starting to run forward. He is looking as though he's just gonna jump on this, maybe. Decides not to. No balance speed, and maybe a little bit afraid that Maru's 1-1 is really on the edge of finishing, which it is. But he's definitely gonna be without his own 1-1, so I think Serral just going to back away from that. Obviously, he maybe could have took a fight with no 1-1 of Maru, but he doesn't know how soon it is to finish, right? You know, within the kind of 10 seconds or so window that he might engage. So yeah, I don't think that's a bad call to disengage. It does let Maru get set up, and Serral will have to bust his way out of this location. One queen already going down, other queens continue to take hits. Lings and Banes up the left-hand side, going to try and jump onto the siege tanks here. Marines are going to stim, and we do have a wraparound as the medevacs do evacuate those Marines out of there. The tanks do fall, though, and the rest of these Marines now going to unload and get ready to fire up another storm out through the top. Two more medevacs just in production. Just going to see our +1 carapace, our +1 melee. Continuing to build. The Marines are going to come forward and just get rid of a couple lings, couple queens. More Banes actually want to move through, and that is going to be a bunch of Bane lanes connecting in for some Marines there. Now the rest of these Marines going to go in and after these lings, but the main base drop is kind of getting shut down, and Maru pushed back on all sides. Well, we go back to looking at resources lost a little bit, and really not that bad for Serral. A 1.5k difference or so is really very manageable. Obviously, Maru is ready to move into a 4th base, however, so straight to that. Drilling claws as well, 2-2 upgrades firing up. Serral also very quick in the Hydras, and it feels like this game we're going to hit quickly into just 2-2 versus 2-2, Biomine versus Lingbane Hydra. Serral obviously was just a lot more Lingbane heavy in the last game before eventually kind of getting the Hydra Den set up. He obviously did that as he got into his Hive Tech. It's just a very different approach here on Day to See. And Maru is obviously just pretty quick to his own 4th base as well. Definitely not delaying, no kind of immediately like, yeah, this is a bit of an attack, right? But this wasn't like a committed attack into, okay, it's not working, boom, now we drop down to 4th base, now we transition out, now we go a bit of a different direction with it all. Got a bit of Ling Bane hanging out the top, got a bit of Ling Bane Hydra coming around the right. Creep spread is pressing forward. Still. Medevacs. Lifted up very late. The Hydra's getting there. We actually lose one. Maru. It just feels like little things, right? Just Serral seems to be getting the little things going his way, but at this level, little things like that shouldn't be happening. Like, they shouldn't go anyone's way, right? Like, that's the thing. For Maru, there's no way for him to, like, come out beneficially in that fight, but there's a way for him to come out on even footing where he just lifts, he leaves, and no one loses anything. But obviously there's a big way that Serral can take an advantage off of it, and that's obviously killing the medevac because Maru lifts up too late, and so, yeah, Maru unfortunately finds himself in a bit of a tough spot there, and does get all 4 of these Widow Mines off at least. Actually dives into the center of the units there. That was crazy. 14 kill mine, 10 kill mine, pushing at the top as well, so I gotta stop looking at that friendly fire Widow Mine, and a couple of Banes. Well, Maru gets some good damage done, but on the back of it, loses out on the upper left-hand side, so these two continue to trade blows. Trade out damage just now as our 2-2 finishes on the side of Serral. Morling still on the way up, drone still producing, and the Hive is actually going to be online in the next little bit as well. Another round of Banelings will morph just up on the top as we come through with these Marines. We knock down an Overlord. Just going to get a CC on the bottom side. And we're just going to lift up and back away down the left side with the medevacs once more. Bane Hydra back through the top as ooh, lose a medevac and a couple of Widow Mines as well, getting shot down already. You have a couple of Ghosts still in production, the Concussive Shells +3 attack upgrade. Now it's going to get a hatchery down in the bottom right as well, so that's going to be what, base number 6 on the way. Almost got this base top left, so Serral's just going to keep on expanding and say, hey look, I can take this map if I wanna. And actually a lurker den, I mean we really didn't see any lurkers at all so far this series, so Makes sense. TvZ is a bigger map. Lurkers controlling places and hitting them, you know, their own run bys and stuff can be very effective. And at some point, nidusing lurkers could be very necessary too to try and find openings. Definitely can get behind the decision to produce a handful of lurkers right now. Well, at least have the option to, right? Is nice Widowmine again. Lots of 10+ kill Widowmine shots in this game so far. And it's definitely helping Maru out. Resources lost. About a 3,000 difference. This one's not going as well for Maru initially, but as he gets back to tank fire, it should help a little bit extra. Yeah, some good Widowmine shots so far from Maru. Let's see if he can stabilize on full base. And really, right now, as he takes the extra command centers, it does become a question of pushing out to base 5 as well. Serral sitting on 86 drones and actually increasing this to 95. And this is something he never did on Waterfall, and I just have to imagine that's due to the size of the map, the number of bases available. He was very happy to sit on 80 to 85 workers last time. And not ever really kind of go beyond that point. This game, he's straight up beyond 90. So yeah, different maps, different ways of playing. And just again, Serral, just as he has money, just says, okay, a hatchery down here. You know, just plonks this one down. Why not? Try and mine from it a little bit, take some money away from a base that eventually might be the Terrans. Because this map is actually kind of fun. The Terran will expand through the bottom right now. But it does get to a point where maybe the Terran starts denying bases top left from the Zerg, and then they end up expanding there. Maybe then they deny the right side base, so they expand down here. So really mining from either of these corner bases as Serral is just a chance to take money away from the Terran while giving yourself some extra cash as well. So I like that plan, as Maru just moves out to his fifth base. And we know that Maru loves to play these slower games as well. Infernal Pre-Ignited coming up. I mentioned that in one of the earlier games that this was one of the most recent things that Maru switched up in TvZ and showed us the power of Blue Flame Hellbats late in the game. Actually going to see a fight here as we start to commit on forward. The tanks, a little bit slow to siege. The Ghosts obviously have to go running right now, get away from these Banes, let the tanks do the damage. We turn and fight, letting the Marauders doing a lot of the tank. On the left side, Lings have won out though, and they're going to be in a mineral line for a good few SCVs as well, so ego damage achieved. It's always generally a goal of the Zerg in these fights to deal eco damage, because just trading with the army is always going to be inefficient, although this one was actually pretty even. It shows that that was a pretty good fight for Serral. This is usually you're kind of looking to hit economy as well, because you're usually trading worse in terms of value of army. You're losing a lot more, but by hitting the economy, you force the Terran to mine less for a while, and that makes up for it. So yeah, I was going to criticize, but then like I say, in this fight specifically, the resources lost was very similar throughout, and because of that especially, then I don't mind the fight for Serral, because then it doesn't matter. You don't have to take down eco. Well, I mean, he still took down 10 SCVs. But usually we're talking about like denying a base or something, right? And like 15 SCVs or so. But in this case, it didn't even have to be done because Serral traded so well anyways. The fight was just good enough, so good fight from Serral. Pathogen Glands on the way, going to start moving into Infestors. Looks like he wants to try and cut off a few of those units coming back through. Maybe this is going to be the next fight. We do see good EMP on the Vipers. Starting to try and line some snipes already. And just going to be seeing this army continue to push on forward. Ling, Bane, Hydra continue to come through. And actually, these Ghosts are in trouble. The Banelings are connecting. Hydra's getting rid of a couple of libs as well, pulling back this army of Serral over to the right-hand side. And just going to be seeing our Spire coming up as well. 18 SCVs getting dropped. This was a massive fight from Serral. Did this just win him? I mean, again, resources lost doesn't even blip up. I mean, it blips up to blip back down. So it's, again, equal kind of efficiency fight. But the income of Maru is just getting shattered. And you can see Serral after each of these fights is getting a little bit better off in income. And Maru just can't bounce back as easily. I feel like Maru's just never getting set up. He's just not able to take the fights that he needs to be taken in these situations. So it looks as though Serral is going to be able to perhaps close this out. I mean, he's got a bank. He's been taking good trades so far. More of that. I mean, it's always difficult to end a game against a Terran player, right? That's always going to be a question mark, but yeah, this has just been going so well. So all the things we usually look for just haven't been there for Maru, and we come through, we actually have a couple of abducts, so we can guarantee a couple extra tank kills. The Ghosts are the one thing that will remain alive, and they do start to get some snipes off against Hydras, which is absolutely efficient. And finally, we see resources lost open up a little bit during one of these trades. Finally, Serral loses out a little bit there, so yeah, I mean, finally we actually see Maru kind of getting some of the trades that he needs in a series like this. And just look at what Serral's doing, though. Lurkers, Greater Spire, Neural Parasite. Talk about having all of the options really just readily available to you. You really can just go into pretty much whatever you want right now. These Lurkers pull back away to the top. Just going to jump into the Nidus. I mean, if they're going to Nidus themselves down there, I feel like they could have just walked there. They jump out again. Okay, so a little bit of a movement Nidus, I suppose. So a mobility Nidus helps you get around. What are we going to do here? We do not abduct the Liberator. Now we do. Could have maybe done that one a little bit sooner. Tank gets blown up already. The Viper's out of energy. And again, just the Bane's looking to try and greet the Ghosts with a little bit of an explosion. Again, not crazy good for Serral. I mean, the SCV's going down the bottom definitely helps him out. And it's just going to be Maru holding on once more. And I did say it's kind of difficult to kill a Terran. There's a moment in this game where I felt like Serral might just overwhelm and just run through and win. Since then, Maru has definitely upped the quality of his fights a little bit. He's definitely been trading out a little better. There is the Nidus actually coming into play. Unfortunately, it kind of costs you 2 Lurkers rather than doing much to protect the base. But yeah, the last couple fights have been way better for Maru. A lot more like what they need to be for him to be competitive in this game. And so this game is not done yet, because if Maru starts trading well from here on out, it will be an uphill battle, but it's absolutely a possible battle. That is the most important thing to note. Nidus pops out. Look, we'll get rid of a turret already, looking for another. And obviously that's kind of annoying. Lurkers in the main is usually a game-ending move. Obviously 3 of them probably not so much. So I'm just going to use it as a distraction as he is going to come forward here again. All the Ghosts are gone because they're gone to deal with those Lurkers in the main from the Nidus. So it opens the kind of playing field to come forward. So here we're going to break that planetary down. SCVs are getting blasted. Couple more Ghosts are going down. During all of this, the Ghosts in the main did go back, deal with those Lurkers. Like I say, because there's only a low Lurker count, this is a real overcommitment back into the main from Maru. And that's what really opens this position to be broken well and truly this time around. Yeah, we've seen this position be hit a couple times, but he didn't lose the location. Now he kind of loses the position, has to try and fully reset here. Serral has 38 Banelings morphing in, ready to roll at this Terran army one more time. One more Nidus down into the bottom left-hand corner of the main. It's just going to scan over here and get rid of the Ling so he can drop the base, immediately start muling. Serral is just so quickly ready to go again. And that's the issue compared to how long it's taken Maru to get set up. It's really no competition. We actually grab a Neural Parasite on a Ghost. We EMP a bunch of them, so Serral's Infestor gets some value also, as he is just doing everything right. 12 more workers going down. Orbital denied for a while. Gets that with Banelings as well, so not even having to rebuild fully on the Baneling count. Again, at this point, Serral, I was going to say, it's probably just trading efficiently in these fights. Yeah, look at that. That's never a good sign, guys, when you're nigh on 18, 19, 20 minutes in the game and you're losing resources in a fight as a Terran. It's not meant to be like that at all, and I think it's not too hyperbolic to say that Serral is probably going to win this series and become the TSL 9 champion, because this army is going to be over-freaking-whelming. 16 more SCVs go down, make it 17. Why not? Just for good measure. Until you see the orbital coming through, going to drop onto position. Couple mules dropping down. We do have our Ghosts getting caught. Not all of them lifted away. I was going to say, one thing that we've seen is, we've lost 12 Ghosts, but considering the amount of fights, the Ghosts have been pretty good at keeping alive. And even the 4th base getting blasted now as well, right? As Lings and Hydras continuing to swarm on forward. GG is called, and Serral wins it 4-1. Obviously, in terms of maps played, 3-1, but pretty dominating series from Serral, I would say. And is going to become the TSL 9 champion as he wins out here against Maru. Wow, just some final thoughts, I think. Going back to the first game, really felt like Serral had a very good game plan for this series. From the very get-go, that very first game was just already very convincing from Serral. It sort of said, oh, I see what build you're doing, and I have a great response to it. Game 2 thrown off heavily by the 2 racks for sure. But games 3 and 4 just looked so much better in these long games, and these are games which Maru has looked so good in the past. We know that he's one of the key players, one of the main players to look so good when doing these kind of styles, playing long games, drawn out games, all that kind of stuff. We know that Maru is one of the very best at it, but Serral just did not let him get set up at all. He consistently made Maru take bad fights, trade evenly. And again, trading evenly seems like silly, but yeah, in TvZ, trading evenly as a Terran in these kind of games is horrible. You've got to be outperforming the Zerg in the engagements, or somehow severely limiting the Zerg's economy. That's not obviously happening. You look at the mini map here, that's going to tell you that absolutely did not happen. So, GG's, Serral is your TSL champ. Guys, if you enjoyed the series and the casting, do consider dropping a like on the video, or maybe even subscribing to the channel. More YouTube content continuing to come your way on a pretty much daily basis here on WardiTV. We take a couple days off here and there, take some GSL days off especially. We've got loads of great games coming up on the channel soon. We've had a great couple of tournaments recently, so yeah, make sure you stay around for more awesome StarCraft. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time for more epic games of StarCraft 2. Bye-bye.